Hello and welcome to the Michael Rollins Show yet again. This is our last portion of the interview with Zoroe. And in this one, Zoroe and I talk about pretty much everything. We talk a little bit about his experience with 3D flying. Hint, hint, he likes to troll people. But I will let you hear that from him yourself. Do you at all mind if people know the city you live in?
No, I say it in my videos. Yeah.
Yeah, so you live in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's where my company is based. I go there about once a quarter. Which we should totally meet up next time I'm out there.
Smoke? Yeah, that's what you get.
I may need to draw the line there, but we can have a coffee.
Yeah, you got it.
Where can you fly there? Because it seems like that's a really hard spot to find a place to fly. I think I've done some flying there that's probably highly illegal, but
me too. I flew right across the street the first time I got a Mavic, and I flew it all around the neighborhood. I still have the video, going up to the Pandora sign and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I lost connection to it by the lake somewhere. I just brought it back. I didn't know enough to know. I don't know if I would do that today. I'll just fucking fly,
Right.
So it is tricky to find places to fly. I have a couple of go-to places that I know I can. But again, it's, there might be people there. There's some places like Treasure Island where it's pretty cool, and, the bridge and whatever. But it's very tricky finding places to fly in the city for sure. But I kind of enjoy that as well. And I think every hobby I've had has had this similarity where you need to find a spot and kind of scope out the spot and use the spot for whatever. There was a couple of years also that I was into geocaching, which is the nerdiest of things. But I was super intrigued that there's things out there that are hidden, and I was totally into it. And that was another thing, finding a spot to hide one, or going to the spot to find it or whatever. So I always have this thing about finding spots, or graffiti too. You scope out a spot, you go out to do it, whatever. So there's definitely the similarity. I don't know why that is, but I like spots. What are you gonna do?
So I'll tell you a fun story so we drove up from my father-in-law's today. We were in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we were driving back, and my sons so I've got a daughter and two sons. And my daughter is 10, and my sons are 11. He's almost 12. Logan is almost 12, and he's actually a pretty good pilot. And then there's Cole, who he's 13, and he has the makings of a good pilot if he could not crush the throttle into trees as frequently as he does.
But that's good. But he's flying. He's doing.
Oh yeah, both of them fly, and both of them can keep it in the air. They can do tricks and rolls and things like that. Cole has the ability to fly through trees, 100%. Just hey, Dad, watch this, and he just whang! And then all of a sudden,
awesome.
Goes exploding through a tree, and we'll keep going after that. And I'm like, oh God.
That's awesome.
This is not good. And then one day I'll just share this. We were out having a fly, and typically when they're flying, I'm spotting. I'm not flying. Right. So I'm maybe you probably should get away from that group of people over there, or you should bring it down, or whatever. Try to avoid. We've got a lot of F-18 jets that fly around this area, so. They can come by kind of low, so kind of call out. Maybe you should get on the ground now. But there was one day, Cole literally, I don't know how he didn't hang it up in two trees. He flew through two trees, and lost signal in the second tree, but he had enough velocity going. It was like a fir tree too. Had enough velocity going through the fir tree that he punched his way through it and landed crashed on the other side of it. So it wasn't too far from us, and so he walked over and he picked it up, and as he's bringing it back towards us, he all of a sudden I hear this pop 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 sound, and I look over and there's all these flashes going off, and he throws the quad on the ground. And I was like, what just happened? And he had ripped the balance lead off of the quad. Mm-hmm. And it was it was a special moment.
That's awesome.
Why don't we get that off the quad first? Do you really? Yeah. I hate balance leads. Like, I hate balance leads. They're the worst things ever.
Yeah, that's why I like the newbie drone batteries, because you can remove the balance lead. It's like removable. The downside to that is that if you don't have it, then you can't charge it. But it does help not having it on there completely. Totally.
Maybe I should invest in those. But I not only, and then I recently started messing with turtle mode. Like I said, I kind of fly in my own little space in a bubble. I don't progress through the beta flight versions very much. And the other day, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, I turned on turtle mode for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And like literally trashed the balance lead on like 5 batteries in one day. This is awesome. And you keep flying because you're like, "Oh, dude, this is awesome," you know. And you're like, "Why is the battery voltage dipping around like it is? That's not good."
Yeah. So, the other day, I got my props back, and they were like paper thin from all the scraping. It was like spinning in circles, and I got it back, and it was barely like a prop, just like waving.
Right? Yeah.
But I wanted to. Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
But you said that you don't consider yourself a great pilot, and and your son punches through stuff. So I think that there is, in any kind of art, I don't know, I mean, it's a big word to use for FPV, but it does have the makings of what art is, especially like the final product. But there is a place for everyone, and sometimes you'll see art and you'll go into like a whatever gallery or museum, or you see something online, and you're like, that is not art. That is like a piece of shit on the canvas. It's like a black blob with like nothing. The point of that is that there's a place for everybody. You don't have to be Mr. Steele, or Johnny or whatever. As a matter of fact, I watch, other than Steele, I do like to watch his videos, but there are a lot of videos, like if it's just straight flying, he's an amazing pilot. I think Mr. Steele is probably like an exception to the rule. But with the rest of the pilots, they're like really good. I get really bored of watching perfect flying. And that's why I love when people put in like their crashes, or it's not perfect, or I see a progress, or a complete shit show where it's disaster and it's constant like crashing.
Right.
To me, that's way more interesting. So when I hear people say, I'm never going to be Mr. Steele or Schizo, it's like, you shouldn't want to be Mr. Steele or Schizo. There are things that are unique to you, and even if you're complete shit and you can't even, get a good flight in, somebody is going to watch that with the caveat that it should be enjoyable to watch. You know what I mean? Whether like however you present it or what it's paired with. But I think that everybody has this like, Mr. Steele and Ladrib and Schizo and Johnny, and these are the top pilots, and they fly a certain way. They have their own style, and they're amazing at what they do. But it doesn't mean that everybody wants to see that. And as a matter of fact, you should want to, ride with what you have. And there are people out there that, there's an audience for that, is what I'm saying. You have a place in FPV no matter what your style is. So, I never feel like I need to be like Steele or Schizo or whatever, I just, we're all unique, and whatever you make is unique to you. So
I like your point about adding in the crashes. When I put together a flight edit, which I don't do very often, and really honestly, there's only a handful of people that I watch flight edits from, like you. I tend to get bored You can only see the same tricks or the same place or the same thing done so many times before it's like, okay, I am kind of over this.
It's you know what to expect. You know it's gonna be a
Right.
perfect flight, and even if there's crash, just the perfect kind of like flowy kind of thing is like I can tell you that in another minute he's still gonna be doing perfect flips over the trees. You know, it's
Right.
like
Right.
there's like I know the ending, and
There's almost like there's no story, there's no drama in the
yeah,
story itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's and that also obviously has a place. It's beautiful. It's it takes skill and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, as far as like watching something over and over and over, it just needs to be more interesting for my taste. And I just don't feel like everybody should feel like they need to live up to a certain hype.
I think one of the things I strive for, and I think you do as well, though we probably both put a bit of a comical bent on it, is kind of authenticity, which is like if I put together a flight edit, I don't go out to nail 1,000 perfect lines. A lot of times I put in oh man, that was going so well, and oh scraggle.
Yeah, totally.
Where it's just like all of a sudden you hit, it's just not perfect. And I don't like to portray this idea that, what I'm doing is perfect. And even with some of the guys that occasionally you do see perfection. But even when you see it, I actually went on a little bit of a creative bent for a while, mixing flight video with I called it Dad FPV, where it was like hey, here's something to think about for the day, and be a good person, or everybody on social media is lying. And I truly believe that there's so much that goes on in the FPV community where it's like, hey, listen, I understand that you pulled off something that was amazing, but you didn't show the 1,000 times before that that it took to get there. And so sometimes I feel like there's an inauthenticity to the perfection, if you will.
Yeah, or this subject is surprisingly deep, but there's a couple of schools of thought when it comes to the flying videos. Is like where you're flying one pack nonstop, and you're showing your piloting skills.
Right.
And then there's another side where you're creating fun to watch content, and that doesn't mean even if it's completely flying, having a video be edited and taking all the best parts and putting them in one thing with the right kind of music. So somebody watches it and they're like, dude, that was awesome. That's one side of it. And you can have both sides, but that is like one take on the type of video that you're going to make. And then the other one, you're like, no, dude, it's like raw. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to kill it the whole time, not crash or whatever. Making a video, like editing, like I edit the shit out of my videos, but I mean openly. I don't, I do this thing which is actually really funny. I'll cut a video. People are telling me like all the time in my latest video, they're like, dude, you fly 3D? Dude, you fly 3D? I've never touched 3D in my life, but they're like, dude, you fucking 3D rocks. I'm like, I've never done it. So like, I'll take it where I'm doing like a roll, and I'll cut it right in the middle of doing the roll, and then I'll cut the end of the video, and then I'll turn the actual video like 180 upside down, and I'll match it with another roll, and it looks like I'm completely like flipping upside down and flying out. People are like, dude, those. But here's the thing: it's not. So if you're a 3D purist, you'll be like, fuck that. It takes a long time to learn 3D, and you're just making a mockery out of it.
Right.
Sure. The other side of it is the effect of flying upside down is what you're achieving as well by actually doing it. Totally different kind of skill. I could like, sure, if I said, hey, I fly 3D and check out my video, and I busted out a fake one, I think that'd be completely fucked up.
Right.
But making a video where the effect is you're flying upside down
Hmm.
and you're doing that by editing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? As long as you're open about like what's happening and stuff. But I get a kick out
Hmm.
of people telling me good job on my 3D flying, and I've never even tried
That's
it.
hysterical. I honestly, I mean, and that's like, there's a hidden joke in there. Like, that's the best part.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
it's
Right,
like,
right,
oh
right.
yeah, thanks. I'm a really good 3D pilot.
No, and I've never in any comment have I ever said thank you for like giving me 3D props, but I leave it open where they don't
Right.
know exactly. Like this other guy just last night he commented me after like a few hours and he's like, "So do you fly 3D?" But I have been open. Like I'll tell him, dude, I'm editing. No, it's like camera
Yeah.
trickery. It's not me.
Yeah.
I'm totally open about it. But regardless, so that those are the two schools of thinking, and I think it's completely fine. It's completely fine. It's completely fine as long as you're having fun doing it. Like
Yeah.
I was watching the Icky interview. I
Yeah.
watched part two twice. I watched it on my way to work and on the way back because I really, really enjoyed it. And I think there's a lot in there as far as the like struggle of like having to make content and feeling like you have to like live up to a certain expectation and all
Hmm.
that, whatever. I think if I think everybody wants to be recognized, and
Hmm.
everybody also I forgot what the scale is when you're first starting out on something. You don't
Yeah.
know enough where you think you're really good, and then the more you get to know what the thing is, then you start realizing that you really don't
Hmm.
know as much. So
Hmm.
there's like a lot of pilots or not as experienced pilots where they think that they're the shit because they haven't like gone down that road yet where they actually going back
Hmm.
to uh like watching your video a year from now, looking back, you'd be like, "Oh, that wasn't very good."
Right.
So, um, but the thing for me, like, I completely love making videos. Like, I love creating videos. As soon as I make a video, I am so pumped to make the next one. Like, and I don't know, it's just like that's one of my favorite things to do. At least right now, I just really enjoy it. And it shouldn't be a chore because like what you guys talked about, the payout is not like riches and fame and boats and hoes. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
You're staying in that hotel. I've traveled a lot with Rotor Riot. I was like I consider myself extremely lucky. Um, I was able to be in the Bot Grinder, the Rotor Riot Presents Bot Grinder
Hmm.
movie. Like that was a once in a lifetime chance, and I
Yeah.
was like I never asked for anything. They were always like, they reached out, and I think that if you're enjoying what you're doing, even if
Hmm.
it's not what everybody else is doing, I think that it does get recognized by the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for us, we only have like Rotor Riot as like the MTV. Like there's no
Hmm.
other thing that does that. It's
Hmm.
just Rotor Riot. So everybody's like focused in on it. And you want to be featured on I mean, not everybody, obviously. I know there's going to
Hmm.
be some people like, oh, I don't care. I just like to fly. Sure. But if you fly with a GoPro, and you're putting it up on YouTube, like you can't say that. I mean, if they're on private and or you have your own video collection on your computer,
Hmm.
then yes, you're a purist and you're fucking awesome. But I think that most of us put them up so other people see them, and there's people get to see what you do, and
Right.
being honest about it and being like, yeah, I want to be on Rotor Riot. I want to be featured in one of the episodes or when they have the whatever. If if you do want that, then I think it's okay to say that.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the whole like drama thing with the name change and all this like little stuff. Everybody reacts because they really care because all we have is that one thing. And it's amazing at what it is, like Rotor Riot, most of us that started flying, that was like the first exposure to FPV. So you idolize these people. You're like, when you first see them, you're like, these people have like superhuman powers. They're flying this
Hmm.
thing like, you want to be that. And then you start learning stuff. And, I just think being honest about that is great. but also knowing that you're not gonna be rolling in money. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's like that Instagram life where you're seeing the best of it. You're seeing like a show,
Right.
and that's not like how life is. 24/7. That's just what you do. Um, so yeah, we sensationalize it and we care about it because it does. That's what we look up to, or at least what we did when we first started. So
Mm-hmm. Um, I mean, I know for me, the first, I started flying in 2016, right around the time that Rotor Riot came out. And I just thought they'd been around forever.
mhm.
I happened to start watching Rotor Riot about the time that they started producing stuff. And I remember thinking, man, this is amazing, right? And then I remember, a couple years later, this was probably last year sometime, I got my first clean flight, right? Where like I had a whole flight that was good enough
Mhm.
that I could put it to music and call it a pure edit. It was boring as hell to make.
Totally.
It was just so, I was like, well, I mean, because I used like I love to sit down here at this computer and um, spend 2 hours editing on a flight video or taking my camera out and filming and putting it
Mhm.
together. Like the creation aspect of it
It's
is a
fun.
lot of fun, right? And
So much.
what's interesting about, and like even with these interviews, that's lacking, because like with here you and I are talking and there's a creation aspect to it,
Mhm.
which is finding the interesting points and bringing them out. And but like it takes me we'll have talked for an hour and a half probably by the time we're done. And then the edit is I watch through it at twice the normal speed. And
So like, mhm.
yeah, so then I start cutting out, these are the segments I want to hit.
Mhm.
And then from there, I record an intro and an outro to every segment, and I release 3 of them, and that's it. And it's very cut and dried. It's very straightforward, and it's actually it's not boring to talk to the people. Like I've
Right,
absolutely loved talking to people.
but there's no
Um,
editing, right?
there's no editing in it.
It's
There's
like
no
mechanical. You're just like,
right,
you like listening for stuff. You're cutting.
right,
It doesn't have that excitement. We're like this scene and this thing. Yeah, totally.
right. And so like all of a sudden here recently I've realized like as I've been focusing almost all of my extra energy has been going into these interviews, and I'm missing the creative aspect. And it's like, man, it's like an itch. Like I can't quite scratch it, right? Like I want to get out and go make something that is good to watch, or maybe it's good for me to make. And it's like you said, it's like maybe 3 people will watch it and they'll enjoy it, and that's enough for me
Mm-hmm.
because I got to make it and I enjoyed the making of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I have a solution for you. You ready?
yes, what's that? I'm ready.
And I love making these videos, and your videos are so perfect. And I've almost made a few, but I haven't had the chance yet. But
Okay.
I love like cutting up videos to say something completely different. And with Chad, I was like, oh my god, this is so freaking awesome. So I think that'd be pretty cool to have like, awkward silences and like, you ask one thing and they answer like something that's totally like self-important. That'd be a good little mix, I think.
That would be kind of
And,
fun.
yeah, and when I do that, whenever, because I've done it a few times, that's like one of my favorite things to do, just because it's so
Okay.
funny to hear it back and watch it back. So there you go.
We could call it uncomfortable capper.
Yeah, with if Capper's in it, then yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, yeah. He's like silent the whole time.
Just
Have you,
silence.
have you seen those videos where they take all the laughter out of like sitcoms and then you watch it, or like there's like Wendy Williams, like the show host will come out and
Yeah.
it will like if you Google or on YouTube whatever show you think of with
Yeah.
no talking.
Uh-huh.
Or like Dr. Phil is a great one. He'll come out and be like just everything but him talking, and he totally like goes and the audience is super quiet, and you just hear like little like shuffles here and there, and there you can hear them like breathing. They kind of like dub in a lot of
Oh,
the
that's awesome. Yeah.
it's freaking hilarious, dude. But there's a little
I'll
something.
have to give that a try. I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're hitting towards the hour mark here. Do you have the time to go through the quick questions portion of the show?
Yeah, I don't have any.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the whole idea behind this is that these are a few quick questions. They don't have to be quick answers. Okay.
Oh, they will be. Trust me.
All right, that's good. Okay, so I'll tee them up and then you hit them and then we'll move on. All right. So
Okay.
you have one piece of gear that never ever breaks, but you can never change it.
Damn it. Let's see what
So it's kind of like an infinite supply of something. It never breaks, but it has to be on everything you ever fly from here on out. Or it could be like your goggles. It could be something. What piece of gear is that for you?
Can I say weed?
Absolutely.
All right, a bag of weed. It will never break on me, and it's always on my gear. That's freaking awesome. Not only will it make a great video, but everybody will want to fly with me,
Right.
and I'll always have weed because it will never run out.
An infinite bag of weed. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That is the most creative answer I've gotten so far.
Your channel just like the scent kind of changed a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Zoro's infinite bag of weed will be the third.
Your channel's gonna smell like weed after I'm done. I'm just letting you know for a couple of days.
Exactly.
So when people
All right.
come, just make sure.
So, all right, sounds good. All right, what are you flying right now?
What kind of weed? No, I'm just kidding. So I just got. I don't know if you're familiar with the quadcopter review, but we have a little deal, a little co thing that we do, where he makes them, and I fly them, and I mean
Okay.
I can keep them and everything. So I had a chameleon, and it's I keep breaking shit on it, and then I have the flip mode that has been my kind of go-to, which the quadcopter review made for me. But I just got the Emax Buzz, which is pretty ugly. It looked a lot better on the video, but I wanted to try it out. So that's what I'm gonna be flying for the next couple of days, just to like maiden it and kind of feel it out. But the flip mode is kind of what I'm rolling with right now.
Okay. How often do you get to fly?
I would say at least twice to 3 times a week.
Okay. That's a good amount.
And
I
that's
feel
not
like that's
counting the weekend, actually.
okay. So that doesn't count the weekend. So if you like, what happens on the weekends?
Oh, Michael, you don't want to know what happens on the weekend. No, nothing exciting. But I'll meet up with like friends, or there's like a group that flies here, so I could fly on the weekends if I want. Even if I go out with my wife is the best, by the way. She lets me do my thing. So if we go somewhere together, if it's like one of those kind of days where it's like we're going on a trip or whatever, it'll be like bring your drone stuff. We'll find places to fly. So I get to fly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's why you get divorced, guys, because you can do better. Well, from the first one, I mean. So sometimes you just have to switch out your gear.
What is so wrong?
I know, but hey.
All right, so GoPro Session 5 or GoPro Hero 7 Black?
Oh, 7 Black all day long.
Okay.
Ever since I got the taste of the Hypersmooth,
okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a session. People are coming out with like session form factor, GoPros or whatever. Hypersmooth is amazing, and I fly. Sometimes my props are bent like 90 degrees, and You don't see anything on it. Yeah, I don't know.
Have you broken any of them?
I've broken at least like 7.
Okay, so are you on the Best Buy plan? Is that
Oh
the
yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. I don't.
It's amazing they haven't caught on to that yet. All right, so this
Well,
is
there's nothing to catch on. I think the company likes that they're making these like sales. It doesn't
yeah.
matter the return end. I don't think that gets kind of
Okay.
yeah.
There's an upside to them.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the last one. What is the most drama you've ever found yourself in the middle of?
Oh shit! So much, so many things that with like drug dealers and guns and I mean I this is my past life that I'm talking about. But I've been around some crazy shit. So yeah, you want me to go into a thing? You
I mean,
want to know?
if you want to,
Yeah.
you don't have to. I was thinking more FPV related, but if you want to if
Oh,
you want to
okay. I
dive
thought you
into
I was like,
your
that's a no. I don't think we need to go all that. Maybe on a special we'll do that. Um, the most drama that I've been actually with FPV, not too much. I think that I have seen probably the most drama in the community. I mean, harmless drama.
Mhm.
There is a lot of it, but it's nothing like serious. Nobody's ever
Right.
I think got stabbed or shot in our hobby, so it's still okay. But yeah, I mean, just the amount of drama. I don't think I've ever been involved in anything that has this much of it, but it's kind of like harmless. So it's so I make you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. You have any questions for me before we go?
Was Bruce at the place you were at with your family for vacation? So will we not see Bruce again?
We will. Well, so it is possible we will see Bruce again.
I kind of hope so. I like
Bruce. So if Bruce is mounted on the wall over the bed that I sleep in when I'm there sometimes. And so the first time that I ever slept there after Bruce had been mounted was a very shocking time because I stood up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and got attacked by a deer. And what's happening? Right, I roll out of bed and I stand up and something's coming down on top of me
with horns.
With horns, and it was not. We laugh about it now, but I thought I was gonna die.
It's so funny.
Yeah, no. Bruce is my father-in-law is a hunter, and quite frankly, between you and I and everybody else that watches this, I probably ate part of Bruce, and it was very tasty.
Did you?
The and if you're vegan, I'm very sorry.
Do I look like I'm vegan,
Michael? No. My father-in-law goes out and he tries to take about I think he can take 3 or 4 deer a year, but he can only take 2 bucks. And whenever he takes a deer, he always brings us about 15 to 20 pounds worth of meat. And and we'll get the tenderloin, we'll get effectively what's cube steak, we'll get sausage. I mean, and it's some of the best meat you've ever had. Yeah. It's just it's super lean. Have you had it?
Oh yeah. I'm a very adventurous eater.
Okay.
I love all that weird stuff. And I'm Greek, so I grew up eating like lamb eyes and brains and tongues and shit.
Okay.
All right. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
give me some eyeballs, and that's all I want.
I've never eaten an eyeball. Is it like, what is it like to eat an eyeball?
It's not like meat.
Okay.
Because when you start biting into it, you're like, okay, this whatever, and then it like pops in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like all gooey inside. And then there's like a hard part. I also love like fish heads, like salmon heads and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, like, and the eyes, and those eyes have like this hard like retina thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Like this white little ball. But eyeballs, they're not great. I think brain's probably better. Tongue's pretty good. That's what she said. I don't know. I've ruined your show.
That was perfect. Perfect timing. Very well done. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate the time we got to spend together. So, yeah, this was great. And definitely, I can see that you're going to have to come on again at some point in the near future so we can talk even more about some of this. Because, you know, as much as you make jokes and as much as you portray yourself as the really likable guy in the room, I feel like there's definitely like that when we got into that conversation about art and about there's a place for you in the art, I feel like there's a whole deeper episode that we could go into for that. So
and you gotta take an edible or something. You gotta like get a little bit high just for what.
No promises, but we can talk about it when I'm in California.
All right. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bud. Good talking to you, man. Bye.
Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is the entire Zoroe experience. I would like to thank Zoroe for coming on the show. He was truly an awesome guest and one of the funnest interviews that I've had. There were moments where you can definitely tell that it's not just about the jokes. There's a whole lot of depth to this guy. But man, his jokes are funny. If you haven't watched any of his videos, I highly recommend that you go check them out. Especially one of the ones that had me rolling was when someone posted his phone number and then he called a bunch of people back and prank called them. Hysterical. Like you cannot, it's brilliant. He should be a writer for somebody's comedy show, quite honestly. Good stuff. Thank you, Zoroe, for being on. It was really awesome. And I will talk to y'all very, very soon. Bye.